Hello and welcome. My name is Jackie Givens. I'm the UMC Support Relationship Manager for General Counsel on Finance and Administration. It's my pleasure to participate in this digital stewardship webinar with you today. First, I'd like to share some general information with you. You'll receive a copy of the PowerPoint presentation post-webinar. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and our panel will address them. Finally, please remain muted throughout the presentation. I also have the honor of introducing your presenter. Lori Bothman joined GCFA in July as the Learning and Development Instructor. She brings with her a strong background in learning and development, human resources, and accounting. Originally from Radford, Virginia, Lori earned her Bachelor of Business Administration degree in accounting from Radford University. She's lived in Nashville, Tennessee since 1993, my bad, and is the mother of 2 young adults. Thank you. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I appreciate you updating that year on there for me. It's wonderful to have you join us all today to talk about cybersecurity. It's such an important topic, and I appreciate GCFA welcoming me in here today. As Jackie had said, I've been with the organization since July, and this is such an important topic. We appreciate you taking the time away from your busy schedule to learn a little bit more about how you can be a good steward of your own data and your own systems. So GCFA, UMC Support, Information Technology, and I definitely welcome you to your webinar focused on cybersecurity for churches. And so today we're going to discuss essential strategies to protect your congregation, your sensitive data, and the vital mission of your church from growing cyber threats. We'll begin by understanding why cybersecurity is crucial for churches, review real-world cyber attack examples, discuss building a strong cybersecurity culture, explore critical risks and best practices, and maintaining secure systems and data recovery methods. We'll finish our webinar today by offering you an opportunity to have your questions answered during a panel discussion with GCFA UMC Support Chief Information Officer Sharon Asmus and Technology Services Manager Rob Jett. We have a lot of fun, exciting things to get into today. So let's just go ahead and dive in. We're going to start with a fun activity. If everybody will reach for their phones, it's not often you get asked to do so, but we're going to go ahead and start a really fun activity today. If you'll pull out your phones and go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen with your phone's camera. And if you don't have a phone with you or a camera that's going to be able to facilitate that QR code, go ahead and open up a web browser. You can go to menti.com and you can go ahead and enter the code in 72742638 that you see at the top of your screen. So we'll take just a few moments and find out what you think in one word, what cybersecurity means to you. We'll give everybody a few moments to go ahead and be able to reply, everybody who would like to respond. Great information coming in. The bigger the word, the more people that have selected that. So just wanted to provide a little bit of insight on that for you. Great. We're seeing protection is number 1 so far. Coming in close second is important. Safety, prevention, safe, critical, essential, definitely essential. Technology, protecting data, criminals, also comfort. Great. Vital, definitely it's vital. It's keeping ourselves safe. Very, very important. Perfect. We thank everybody for responding. We got some great responses here. We'll give everybody just a few more seconds here to respond and be able to put in your input. Stewardship's a great one. Very, very important. Perfect. Well, thank you all for participating in that. We certainly appreciate that. As you can see, protection, it's important. We have stewardship there and safety that have come out as the overall most input words into the cybersecurity question. And we thank you for taking an opportunity to give us your input there. Allow me just a few moments. We'll go ahead and we'll transition over to, great, getting some more information there. Educational, I see that one coming in as a new one as well. So thank you. We'll go ahead and talk to you a little bit more about examining cybersecurity, what it really is, and the importance of cybersecurity for churches. So churches do face unique cybersecurity risks that can impact members and operations. We're going to discuss why churches are targeted, the sensitive data that is at risk, and address common misconceptions about cyber threats. So there's a lot at risk within the church environment that needs safeguarding. Let's take an in-depth look at cybersecurity for churches.
Welcome to Cybersecurity, Best Practices for Churches. What is cybersecurity? Simply put, cybersecurity is protection against criminal or unauthorized use of electronic data. As Luke 16:10 reminds us, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Therefore, it is just as important to be a good steward of digital assets in the same way you would steward physical assets. Even though digital assets seem intangible, they have a very tangible effect on your people and property. Let's explore what those digital assets are and how you can steward them faithfully. You already know that protection is necessary for your physical property, financial access, and health information. But data such as passwords, emails, and any valuable information stored electronically needs protection. If we extend this understanding to churches, this includes electronic access to donations and financial information, identifiable personal data about church members and employees, access to emails and contact information, and even your church's reputation. Let's begin this journey of protecting your people and your mission by faithfully stewarding your church's data.
Great. As we saw, there is a lot at risk, and you can definitely see what's at risk if it's not protected properly. So, why are cyber criminals always on the lookout for for the targets, and why are churches really increasingly targeted? We wanted to share a little bit of information with you about that today. Limited cybersecurity resources and sometimes outdated systems are going to increase the vulnerability to cyber attacks. And as we've seen, churches often hold valuable personal, financial, and donor information, making them very, very attractive targets to those cyber criminals. Churches do store that sensitive information, including that personal member information in the records, financial donations, employee and payroll details, as well as confidential communications. This data can include things like birth dates, social security numbers, phone numbers, as well as church and member banking information. So protecting this data is critical to maintaining trust and compliance with regards to privacy and security expectations. And as we just learned, it can even affect a church's reputation. So many small churches do believe that they're not targets for cyber criminals, but that they're too small to be attacked. And that's definitely a myth. The fact is that cyber criminals often exploit the smaller organizations due to weaker defenses. Today, we're going to reveal why every church, regardless of the size, can be a target, and why you should prioritize those cybersecurity information to protect sensitive information within your system and maintain trust. So exploring real-world incidences will help us to understand the tactics cyber criminals use against churches and the impact these attacks have on just your church operations and also how it can affect your community as well. So let's take a closer look at what has happened to some other churches.
Welcome to Cybersecurity, Real-World Case Studies. Believe it or not, churches are increasingly targeted by cybercriminals. While many ministries assume they're too small to be noticed, 43% of all cyber attacks target nonprofits. Hackers don't care about size. They care about vulnerability. Take this example. A church in Iowa lost 7 years of digital records. Why? An employee opened an email titled, "Job application. Please see attached CV." The attachment wasn't a resume. It was malicious software, or malware, that criminals use to steal the church's records. Or consider what happened at a large church in Washington, D.C. In 2024, hackers locked the church out of its own data and demanded payment to restore access. Much like kidnapping for ransom, this kind of attack is called ransomware. Sometimes, the goal is deception. At a small church in rural North Carolina, scammers impersonated the lead pastor using a fake email account. The address looked similar, but wasn't his, and even included a title he never used. Their aim? to trick his contacts into sharing sensitive information. This kind of scam, where attackers deceive recipients via email, is called phishing. These real-world examples show why awareness is your first line of defense, because protecting your church begins with discernment.
Lots of tricky things to look out for there. And as you've learned, ransomware attacks are possible. And no matter the size of your church, numerous churches have suffered where their essential data was encrypted and payment was demanded. And these types of events disrupt vital services and cause great financial strain. It's imperative to be prepared and have measures to protect your church's data and services. Social engineering is a term you may not be familiar with. It's a form of a cyber attack that uses malicious tactics to manipulate people into revealing confidential information or performing actions that compromise security. Instead of exploiting technical weaknesses, these attacks target human psychology, things like trust, fear, urgency, and even curiosity. Scammers impersonating church leaders have led to multiple attacks. Impersonation scams involve attackers posing as pastors or even staff to solicit funds or vital information fraudulently. Awareness by educating others and also verification measures taken before sharing sensitive data or funds are absolutely vital to prevent these costly social engineering attacks within the church. Always be mindful before responding to any requests for information or before clicking any links. Data breaches are where someone gains access to data without permission. This has exposed sensitive information and financial records in churches. The potential consequences for churches are member or employee identity theft, church or personal financial loss, as well as reputational damage and loss of trust among the congregation and your community. As you can see, the results can be devastating. Therefore, strong data protection measures are essential to safeguard your church's information. Creating an organizational church culture that values cybersecurity reduces the risks we've shared with you today, and we'll uncover how regular awareness and also proactive leadership roles and training integration support a secure church environment. Best practices are the building blocks of a strong defense against cyber criminals. Regular cybersecurity discussions and awareness is critical. Consistent communications about cybersecurity keep staff and volunteers informed of threats and best practices. This fosters vigilance and proactive behavior, therefore reducing your church's exposure to risks. So designating a knowledgeable individual to become a cybersecurity champion or even a team to lead cybersecurity efforts within the church ensures ongoing attention, identification, and assessment of risk to the church, and the coordination of protective measures that will help to mitigate those risks. Integrating cybersecurity early and often is essential within a church culture. Embedding cybersecurity education into new member or new employee training orientation so that they understand the risks, as well as ongoing training, promotes awareness from the start and helps maintain those strong defenses, even as staff roles and your volunteers may change. So let's take a moment and test our knowledge. If you'll join us once again by using your phone's camera to scan the QR code, or use a browser and visit menti.com. And you can use the code 72742638 that you'll see at the top of your screen. We really want to know this time what creates a strong cybersecurity culture. So we have the choices of shared responsibility, open communication, regular trainings, or we can make the selection of all of these. So we'll give everybody a few moments to respond. Great. Seems overwhelming so far. Wonderful. Good. Thank you, everybody, for joining in there. We're probably going to have a few more people joining in with us. We'll give everybody just a few more moments. Perfect. Good. As everybody's joining in now, I'll go ahead and reveal. I think almost everyone has had a chance an opportunity to weigh in. We're going to go ahead and show the correct answer. And guess what? Everything is the correct answer. So in this case, we've talked about being able to create a culture for that shared cybersecurity awareness. We've talked about open communication, sharing that dialogue throughout our teams, our volunteers, as well as our new members and the staff, as well as those regular trainings. And of course, all of those and much more create that great cybersecurity culture. So thank you everyone for weighing in on that. We really appreciate it. So churches should implement essential technical and behavioral practices to reduce vulnerabilities and defend against common cyber threats. Now, we've learned about the risks that churches face and creating a culture to help raise the awareness and prevent attacks. Let's take a look at the threats that face churches today and more measures that we can use to protect ourselves from those threats.
Welcome to cybersecurity. Passwords, phishing, and ransomware. Passwords. A password is like a lock on your front door. If it's too simple, it can be easily picked. But if it's complex, hackers face a much harder, sometimes impossible task of breaking in. Just like a door can have 2 locks, your online accounts can have 2 layers of protection. This is called two-factor or multi-factor authentication. It means that logging in requires more than just a password. For example, when you log into your church's financial site, you enter a strong password. Next, a code appears on your phone through an app. Then, you enter that code on the website to complete the login. These additional steps ensure that even if someone steals your password, they still can't access your account without your phone. That gives you time to change your password before any damage is done. Phishing. Phishing is a type of scam where attackers pretend to be someone you trust, like a church leader, a bank, or a well-known company. Their goal is to trick you into giving away sensitive information, such as passwords or financial details. Phishing messages often look real, but there are warning signs. Watch for urgent or demanding language, strange requests, or poor grammar and spelling. If you don't recognize the sender or aren't expecting an email from a known sender, don't click links or open attachments. When in doubt, verify the message with a phone call to the person or organization it claims to be from. Ransomware. Ransomware is malicious software that locks your files and demands payment to unlock them. It often sneaks in through phishing emails or unsafe downloads. Once inside, it encrypts your data, making it completely inaccessible until a ransom is paid. And even if a ransom is paid, there's still no guarantee the data will actually be restored. That's why prevention is critical. Regular backups, staff training, and cautious email habits can make all the difference.
Great information to help us stay more protected. 2 simple steps are foundational to cybersecurity, and those are creating strong, unique passwords to protect accounts, combined with the multi-factor authentication or MFA, and adding those together creates that safeguard and that extra layer. Together, they significantly reduce the risk of unauthorized account access. Identifying and avoiding phishing attempts requires users to be very vigilant and use best practices to recognize and diffuse attempts to access your church information. Phishing emails are a common tactic to steal credentials or deploy malware. Cyber criminals will send fake emails that appear legitimate or contain urgent requests. And their goal is to trick users into clicking malicious links or giving up credentials. They'll often use personal details to appear more convincing. As with all phishing attempts, cyber criminals want to exploit those human emotions, fear, urgency, curiosity, and even your helpfulness. Learning to recognize suspicious emails and those messages and avoiding clicking any unknown links is critical for protection. These tactics exploit trust or your lack of security awareness. So ransomware attacks are cyber crimes where malicious software or the malware is used to encrypt a victim's data, rendering it inaccessible. The attacker then demands that ransom payment, usually in cryptocurrency, in exchange for the decryption key to unlock access to your files. It is really important to understand and know how to prevent ransomware attacks. Ransomware can lock your church's critical data and halt operations. You can take preventative measures that include backups ensuring that you've installed all software updates that help to fix vulnerabilities, and ensure that all staff and volunteers are educated and aware to avoid infection through malicious links or attachments. Let's join together one last time by using your phone's camera to scan this QR code. And again, you can use your browser at menti.com if you'd like, and use the same code 7274-2638 that you'll find at the top of your screen. We'll give everybody a few moments. We'd like to know what is the best password, best practice for you to secure your system. Great. Keep the answers rolling in. Everybody's ticking up the counter there. That's great. And we'll find out what the correct answer is in just a few moments. All righty. Looks like everybody's had a pretty good opportunity to be able to join in there. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing so. We had the choices of use the same password for all church systems to keep things simple, use strong, unique passwords and enable multi-factor authentication, or MFA. Also share login credentials with trusted ministry leaders to ensure your access. And we have also the choice of write down passwords and store them in the church office for easy access. So we want to go ahead and reveal the correct answer. In this case, it is use strong, unique passwords and enable that multi-factor authentication. While it is good information to be able to remember those passwords, try to also use things like password managers to be able to keep those password links fresh for you. I know we have a lot of databases we're all accessing out there, and it's hard to be able to remember all of those, but those will sometimes help keep everything organized for you as well. So thank you for taking part into that also, everybody. So ensuring that the software and your tools remain up to date and having tested data backup and recovery plans in place are going to be your key to sustaining operations and recovering quickly from any incidences if they were to occur. So now that we're aware that attacks can occur with any size of church, what's at risk, and how to aid in preventing those cyber attacks, let's take a look at some ways that we can maintain our systems and build a cyber-aware culture within your church.
Welcome to cybersecurity, consistency, and proactivity. You don't have to become an expert overnight to start protecting your ministry's data. Staying proactive and consistent goes a long way to shield sensitive data. Consistency means building habits. Add cybersecurity to regular staff meetings, review access to data quarterly, and set aside 10 minutes a month for continuous learning. Like discipleship, it's about steady faithfulness instead of instant results. Being proactive means acting before something goes wrong. Start today with small steps. Enable multi-factor authentication, host a short phishing awareness session, and back up your database weekly. These simple actions create a strong foundation. Every step you take strengthens your church's defense, so start with what you can do today and keep building. Faithful protection of your ministry happens through wisdom, care, and intentional stewardship.
Wonderful. I can tell by all your answers, you're all learning a lot today or already implementing a lot of these safety factors to protect your data. Wanted to make sure that you also know that keeping the software, apps, and tools up to date are also going to be very vital for your security. And those updates close the gap before attackers exploit them. So regular updates patch the security vulnerabilities and protect against exploits. Many ransomware attacks target outdated systems. Updating your software provides defenses against the latest threats. So scheduling automatic updates helps to maintain your system's security. As we've examined, establishing cyber awareness and routines are what helps to prevent attacks. However, in the event of an attack, it's also those routines that are going to help you to restore your data and continue your mission. Consistent backups ensure availability of your data after a potential event. Also, those stored securely off-site or in the cloud protect against local failures or disasters, enabling your data to be restored after an attack or failure. And regular backup restoration, definitely testing those, verifies data integrity and ensures your recovery readiness. It's a best practice to also create an incident response plan. Having a clear incident response plan allows your church to respond quickly, and it's going to be efficiently to prevent those cyber attacks and also restore your data. Prompt response helps to minimize any damage and also allows the church to restore normal operations as soon as possible. In conclusion, churches face growing cybersecurity risks, but you can now protect the people, data, and mission by understanding those threats and by also fostering a culture of security and implementing those best practices. Being vigilant and having preparation are keys in safeguarding your mission and your data. You don't need to become an expert overnight, but you can now have those best practices and those tools that you can begin actually implementing today. So this will set you up for success and be the best defense against cyber attacks. This will allow you to remain focused on the important mission of ministry and serving your communities. So now you do have an excellent opportunity to participate in a panel discussion. So please continue to place any of your questions today in the chat, and we're going to do our best to answer them here today for you. But please join me in welcoming Sharon Asmus, the Chief Information Officer, and Rob Jett, Technology Services Manager, for the panel discussion. Sharon and Rob, thank you for joining us here today to answer questions about cybersecurity. Jackie, thank you for monitoring the chat for us today. What questions would you have for Sharon and Rob?
Our first question is, some platforms, for example, Canva, allow multiple users on one account, therefore one password. How do we address situations like this, given that often both staff and volunteers use the same login and password? Sharon or Rob?
Let me go ahead and just double check that they're getting access to be able to speak. So allow me just a few moments to just double check on that for everybody. I know they're really, really excited to be able to talk to everybody today. So my apologies for that delay. Rob, go ahead and you can definitely try to speak now. And Sharon, I'll go ahead and work and make sure that you have the ability as well.
Good morning.
Morning.
Or afternoons. Thanks for the question. If I understood it correctly, it's an application that allows multiple users to access it with the same password. Typically, what we do in situations like that is we get separate accounts for people so that it can't be shared, amongst everyone like that. So that way you have accountability as to who are making changes and what's going on. So in that situation, it's probably best to get multiple accounts. And a lot of these companies will provide that. It still remains as the church overall, but then you have separate accounts inside of that.
So Rob, let me just interject a little bit. So because the specific question was related to an organization called Canva, which lots of the local churches use, and they only, because of nonprofit, they allow one setup with one user. So in that case, what would it be? They don't allow multiple accounts. What would you suggest they do in a case like that?
Hey, Rob, I phoned a friend who is a Canva expert, and good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're calling in from. Thank you for joining. I'll add on to what Rob has said and let you know that what some other local churches do is using the one account, but enabling the multi-factor authentication, and then having volunteers call the person who can verify what that code is. So it's a workaround, but at least you have the password and the code to help protect you.
I want to say that we had someone in here that says Canva allows nonprofit a 10-user account.
Wonderful.
Right.
Mhm.
That is correct. And I'll go ahead and just speak up real quickly. This is Lori again. I am a Canva user as well. So one thing that I do here actually internally is anybody that does request Canva access, I let them know in advance, you will be receiving this particular invitation from Canva today, and make sure that they're aware of that. And they're welcome to call me as well, as we're recommending, to make sure you're saying, hey, I've got this now. Does this look right to you? Can I go ahead and click on this to be able to accept my invitation? So that is another way that you can play it on both sides and make sure everybody's aware that they're going to be receiving that invite, and then that person verifying that invite is actually, authenticated as well.
So we did have another question about the PowerPoint presentation being shared, and it will be after the webinar is over. So then our next question is, our church has 4 computers. 3 are shared by individuals who volunteer for specific roles. Each needs to be able to access the systems, accounts, and desktop settings associated with those roles. How can we implement a more secure login process other than sharing passwords when MFA would rely on specific apps or devices that are not always present?
So I can start. I have a thought, and Rob, I appreciate your thought too, because when you read the question, there's immediately probably at least 4 good ways to do it, and probably more than that. So it might depend on your specific situation and some additional details. But what we see a lot of local churches doing is moving to a cloud platform so that the shared files can be accessed from any device. And it has a couple of benefits. One, it addresses from an access perspective, everyone who needs access to those files could get to it from anywhere. And the other benefit is that you have everything in a central location. And so if a computer fails or people are coming and going, that you're not losing those files as people leave, that you have all of the organization's information in one place. So I'll pause there and turn it over to Rob.
Exactly. The other thought that came to mind was setting up multiple accounts on a local computer. It's also possible. Sharing data, sharing files across it can sometimes be tricky. I like Sharon's the answer the best in using the cloud and sharing in files across organization like that. And that way it also comes with additional security measures that you may not get from keeping everything locally. So that's my answer on that one.
Wonderful.
Jackie, did we have any other questions?
Do you have one? Do you recommend Norton, McAfee, or any other software?
My favorite answer is it depends.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever anyone asks me a security question, it is always, it depends. It depends on what you're doing on that computer. So let's talk about the most extreme example. If you are regularly dealing with very sensitive information, credit cards, social security numbers, personally identifiable information, health information, then you want multiple layers of security, and McAfee or Norton or any one of those is not enough. So antivirus is for the 80s, the 1980s. What we need today is what I call antivirus plus. It really is what they call advanced persistent threat monitoring. So real time, there's an agent monitoring the computer to make sure that it's blocking all the threats that have been identified. And of course, UMC Support has this service that we can provide if you need that level of protection. If you're not dealing with sensitive information, then I think any one of the mainstream antivirus programs are just fine. I am partial to Microsoft Defender because it just comes with your Microsoft Windows and you can turn that on without a lot of cost associated. So, Rob, I know we always have different thoughts. I'm sure you have some ideas to add on to that.
Yeah, I also like Microsoft Defender. I've actually been to Microsoft in Washington and seen their national security operation that they have going on. It's pretty amazing, and they stay up with the latest and greatest, just like some of these other major companies do. Um, Another one is Trend Micro also is another great product. The Norton series, like you mentioned, those are all great. They're all keeping up with everything. Um, so no worries there.
Hey, great question. I know, Jackie, there may be more questions, but I see that we've got shared on the screen now about a technology value pack product that we're offering now. So I'd love to speak to that a little bit if now's the right time.
Well, we have more questions, but yeah, you can go ahead and then we can
Okay.
get back to the questions.
Okay,
I
all
think,
right.
Sharon,
Well,
too, this is
Oh,
a
go
great
ahead.
time, I think, because it does address some of the questions we've already had. So yeah, if you'll go ahead and speak a little bit to this may actually answer some people's questions.
Okay. All right, good deal. So I did mention a little bit when we were talking about this antivirus plus. We have an essential cybersecurity essential product offering that includes the 24/7 monitoring antivirus that includes the advanced threat protection and then data backup. If you're saving data to your local drive and it's important for you to make sure it's backed up, we can provide that as well. If you're saving it to the cloud, then you don't need that data backup option. The pricing on that is $12.45 per device per month. If you would like to add on some service desk support, so that's where you can call or you can email our service desk and they can help you with any kind of question that you have. We have kind of the next level, the cybersecurity essentials plus the service desk support for each person or each device that you have per month is $71.45. So up to an hour a month, you can call and ask any kind of question you have from a technology perspective. If it goes over that, then we just bill the actual time that's used. And that includes the cybersecurity essentials. And then last but not least, the advanced security option includes those other things that I mentioned, in addition to the email filtering. So we talked a lot in the training about phishing. So this is an additional level of protection to filter out all of those phishing emails, making sure that your workstation is blocked from any malicious websites potentially, or any other things that are trying to, anything that you click potentially that might be malicious. And the password manager. I can't remember more than 3 passwords. And so the best practice is that you have a unique password for every single account you have. And that's where a password manager is beneficial so that you can save your ID and password for all those unique systems. And so all 3 of the things that are on the screen, that is $90.96 per month per device or person. So I'll stop there. There might be a few more questions now about that. So Jackie, I'll turn it back over to you.
So I'll go back to the next question in the list was, what do you recommend for smaller churches who use software like AOL for all business communication that could perhaps be outdated, but counsel and a little resistant to change? Like, well, we're familiar with resistance to change. Yeah. So what do you recommend?
Yeah, Rob, you want to
Yeah.
take that one?
Sure. I recommend that that you guys start using Microsoft products if you haven't already, and maybe allow us to assist you with kind of transitioning from AOL to a more Microsoft based platform, and that way we can help you with with your security and uh, and that kind of thing too. So I was just thinking about AOL, and that's the you've got mail, right? I remember that. That goes way back. So yeah, it's time it's time to upgrade. It's time to move to a more secure platform. And there are a lot of things that go into that. So that's kind of my recommendation.
Yeah, and Microsoft, one of the advantages there is they offer really great discounts for nonprofit. And so there's I can look it up and provide it. We can add that to the information we share back. Microsoft for nonprofit, you might just be able to Google it. They have great discounts on Microsoft 365. And then the other thing that we can help you do is if your church has a website, churchumc.org, we can help you get email addresses set up, office at, church name and make it a little bit more official there as well.
So I would just like to add for the person who asked that question, if the struggle is really about your counsel, your leadership and resistance to change, or even some budget things, you can always reach out to connectionrelations@gcfa.org, and we can definitely sit down and have the conversations with your team that you need to have so that they understand the importance of the risks that they're taking on and the benefit of moving on to something else. So we're here to assist you with that, if that would be helpful. Okay, so how about the next question? If we were to set up a small budget server, budget and closed and unclosed, could that work the same as a cloud for backups and sharing files? And how would we keep the hypothetical server safe from attacks?
Yeah, I can take this one. So absolutely, you can set up a server. The approach there to keeping it safe is more complicated. And so I think that's why now we immediately jump to leveraging cloud instead, because it does require some additional services or products to back it up. And then just how you connect to that server requires some additional infrastructure and devices to help connect it together, network equipment specifically. And so it potentially could be more economical, but with the Microsoft license where you for $5 a month essentially, and it gives you 5 installs of Microsoft and a giant amount of data, you just can't beat that price. I'm not sure if I answered that question.
I would agree, Sharon. It is possible to do the local, what we call local, server build and then store data on that. Hey, that's good. Okay. That's good. But let's go for great. Okay. Let's go for better. Let's go for the cloud. That data is stored in the cloud. It is backed up automatically on multiple, not only on multiple machines, but also on across multiple data centers in many cases. So, and your data is secure there and is safe from something like a fire or something like some other kind of natural disaster that could actually wipe your data completely out. There's no question that I would go with cloud in this situation. Yep.
Thanks, Rob. So there is a follow-up from a previous question regarding the church with the 4 computers. One of the computers is our in-sanctuary production computer. Shared files are easy to accomplish. However, the applications, and most importantly, their complex settings, are only able to be accessed within one Windows profile or logon. It is not enough to simply access these files. For instance, streaming software, cloud platform identity, i.e. Facebook and YouTube. So I think they're wanting a little more clarity on the previous questions about sharing computers and softwares.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that setting up a profile, especially for your streaming services or services in Sanctuary, that gets to be very complicated. And so I do like the suggestion where at least if you're sharing an account, you have one account, enable the multi-factor authentication and have a process for sharing that as volunteers are helping with that process, to just make sure there's 2 ways that people are logging into that machine. It would be horrible for someone to gain access to that inappropriately. And so, just the reason why my security answer is always it depends is because there's very delicate balance between we need to do our jobs and make sure that we can get things done and be secure. And so that's why there's a lot of gray area between how we can do it most effectively and in the safest way. So hopefully that helps answer your question there.
Okay. So thanks, Sharon. The next question is, Bitdefender has a great deal for nonprofits. Do you have any concerns with using that?
No, but we use Bitdefender. They're fantastic. And probably we could give you a better price on Bitdefender than you could get. That's one of the things I love about our ministry is that we have the buying power of the United Methodist Church. And so we have some great discounts. Oh, you know what? We use, you said Bitdefender. You said
Yeah.
Bitdefender. I heard
Yes.
Bitwarden. We use Bitwarden. That's who I would recommend. We have a great discount. Be happy to pass that on to you.
But do you have any particular concerns about Bitdefender that come up? Anything you've heard in the...
It's fine too. I think there's a lot of great solutions out there. One I would not use is LastPass. That's the only one I would discourage you from using.
Thank you, Sharon. All right, so first, let me say this. So we had someone who mentioned their appreciation for our support options and had a question about these sorts of presentations that we're doing and what we'll be doing in the future with them, because some people may not be able to, some organizations may not be able to afford the package, the advanced security package, but would like to see more of these presentations. So I want to take an opportunity for someone on our team to speak to the future of these webinars?
Rob, would you like to be able to answer that? What
Yeah,
your vision
so
is?
we are planning future webinars, one every quarter. And we're still working on the next the next package to deliver to everybody, and looking forward to it. I think it delivers great information, allows you to ask questions, and it gives and it gives it's a learning opportunity. So and gives us a chance to kind of share our thoughts too. So that's the plan. We should be coming out with a new with a date on that here in the near future, and kind of the title of the presentation. So that's coming.
Thank you for that. And also, I was going to mention too that if everybody goes onto the GCFA website and signs up for the collaborator, you'll then be notified about any of the future quarterly trainings that we're going to be offering for the digital stewardship series.
Awesome. Okay. The next question, besides staying up to date with automatic updates for malware, viruses, etc., how else can we stay on top of the latest scams out there to protect our church? Great question.
Rob, do you want to start, and I can add to what you shared?
Yeah. You're doing the right thing. Staying up to date with all of the latest and greatest patching, and downloads. I would say I would recommend adding some security awareness training for your staff, because one of the things that I was told this a long time ago. The weakest point of security is people. It's people clicking on stuff and downloading things, and that they shouldn't, and that kind of thing. So you have to train. They have to put in some training for your staff if you can, and learn how to identify what's good and what's bad. And there's a lot of options out there. And if you want to talk to us about that, we also offer something around that. And the other thing is, like us, I mean, we just, I know it's difficult for a lot of folks to keep up with it, because we do read a lot of articles, and we are kind of in the loop on a lot of things. So whenever something like major happens, typically we send a note out to all of our customers, our clients, connectional partners, and on what to do, what not to do. Like there's something that's going on, in the world that could potentially infect them, that kind of thing. So we try to do, stay up on that. But yeah, it's you're doing the right thing. Just download, keep everything secure, and you download all of the updates, keep everything patched, all the patching that needs to happen. Always, always run those. That will help.
Great.
Okay. So
Yeah,
are we going to add on, Sharon?
I was just going to say, yes, Sharon can add,
Lord.
and then we have a question. We have time for probably about one more question after Sharon, if she would like to still go ahead and reply as well.
Thank you. I had one suggestion too from our team as they're listening in, that potentially at your church you may want to form a small committee with those people in your church who are more in touch with technology, to make recommendations about what might be good things to do. Recently we've been performing some what we call cybersecurity assessments for conference offices. And one thing that we focus on, in addition to what Rob shared, was really focusing on your policies and procedures around access. So making sure that that person who, or volunteer who left 10 years ago doesn't have access into the system anymore. Potentially you're changing your passwords that are shared frequently, that you know how to log into your network, and that those things are also, those passwords and access are restricted and change with frequency. So the two things that will help you avoid a hack is training, security awareness training, phishing testing, in addition to access control. Those are the two most important things. Get those right, and you're well on your way to being a secure organization.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. So being that we have one last question, I think this one leads us into kind of where we would go next anyway. How we would be able to access licenses for software through GCFA, of course, part one. And is there a storefront, part two? Are there any other options for free or discounted tech beyond TechSoup.org? Part three.
Yeah, and Jackie, you may want to help us answer this question too,
Yeah.
because the method on the screen now is connectionalrelations@gcfa.org, and that goes to Jackie. She does a great job of providing the information based on your specific needs. I've noticed over time that TechSoup, you have to pay the subscription, and the discounts aren't as good as they used to be. And in a lot of cases, what we can provide to you just based on the connectional power is better. So I always think it's good to check. If you're looking to purchase something, you're looking at TechSoup, that you also check with us. The other thing I would recommend is that you look at our gcfa.org website or ministry partners. There's a lot of organizations, maybe Jackie, you can add more here, that we partner with that offer discounts of church management software, online giving and other capabilities. So Jackie, your thoughts there?
Yes. Well, Ministry Brands, Tithely are two that will offer software types of packages and information. We also have things like Home Depot, Ace Hardware that deal with the things that are more manual and functional. But if you go to our website, as Sharon has said, you will be able to find ministry partners. You'll see all the various services we provide, technology, HR, communications and marketing, the building of websites and so forth, and branding. So there's many things that we offer. We offer these things not for a price point that is for profit. This is connectional. Our ministry is to support your ministry. We're very good at the back-end administration types of functions, and most of you have been trained to minister to people's hearts and souls. So we want to support you in doing that work. So if you have any questions, again, it's connectionalrelations@gcfa.org. What will happen? We don't have a storefront because there's many nuances to the things that people would like. So what happens is I communicate with you. I set up meetings for you to talk to specific skill sets and people on our team who can get you to the nitty-gritty of what you'd like to know. And then if you want to work with us, that's fine. If not, we can also give you some guidance and to the best next step.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Jackie, for answering that question as well, so everyone will know what the next steps would be, what they can expect. I do want to let everybody know, just to remind you once again that you're going to get a copy of this webinar, and you're going to also get access to these resource links. That's going to provide you a little bit more information on the passwords, multi-factor authentication, phishing, and also about updating your software. So there are really a lot of good resources there. We really recommend that you check out and help you minimize those threats and safeguard your data. But I do want to, thank you, Jackie, of course, for your warm welcome today. And thank you, Sharon and Rob, for your joining us and providing such insightful information about cybersecurity and the best approaches to safeguard our data. So thank you to everyone who attended the webinar today. We certainly appreciate that. Don't forget to go to gcfa.org and sign up for the collaborator so you can join us in next quarter's digital stewardship series. We look forward to having you there with us, and we hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.